What's going on, guys? It's Kai back here with another video, and today we got to talk about what happened last night in the Blazer game, Game 5. Unfortunately, the Blazers lost in double overtime. Not only that, but it was one of those games where I wanted to make a video right after, but it was such an emotional game. I knew that I wouldn't have completely unbiased opinions at the time. But it's the next day. I feel a little less emotional now. I'm more kind of just surprised looking back on how do we possibly lose a game in which Damian Lillard has 55 points and 10 assists. I mean, ironically enough, with all the playoff moments Damian Lillard has had, I think this is his best game out of all of them. Now, I understand he's had other playoff game-winning send-off buzzer beaters that won the series and they lost this game, and I fully get that, and it doesn't really matter if you're going to lose the game anyway, but like, they did not lose this game because of Damian Lillard. They lost this game because of coaching, and they lost this game because CJ McCollum absolutely sold last night. But with that little weird intro, before I say anything else, if you like the video, like, comment, subscribe, and let's get right into this. So, at first glance of the stats, right, it looks like the Blazers actually got some help. Now, it looks this way because they scored 140 freaking points and still lost the game. Before I talk about CJ and Covington, because they were the two most polarizing members of that overtime and double overtime that we ended up losing, let's talk about Norman Powell a little bit, because it was weird because he was in like super attack mode, like he's attacking the basket more than pretty much any other player on our team, and that's great. But he had plenty of open threes in which I really wish he would have just took them, and he chose to just dribble drive, and it sometimes resulted in a basket, sometimes didn't. But if we're going to come back in the series, we really need him to be ready and hitting those corner threes that we saw when he traded over from Toronto, that he was leading the league in corner threes, yet he's not taking them as much as I'd like him to. As far as the bench goes, Anthony Simons came in, hit 2 threes in 15 minutes. That was nice. Rondae Hollis-Jefferson played less than 10 minutes, but actually gave really good energy for us, so that was cool. Carmelo did not have a good game, played 30 minutes, had 8 points. I don't know, it was weird seeing Carmelo yesterday because it was the first time I've seen while he was here that I felt like he looked like he was nervous, and that's going to sound crazy, but Lillard was just on a different level yesterday. You could tell. Even a play in the double overtime, Melo pump faked, he flew by, dribbled right in, it was a mid-range. He'd shoot that 99 out of 100 times in a regular season game, but you could tell that we were down, I think, 6 at that point. We really needed a 3, and he passed it out, and we missed. And it was just one of those times where I was like, I wish you would have just took that shot. You know you can hit that shot. We really need points, but you can tell something either got into his head right there or whatever it was. But we need more from Carmelo, especially facing elimination now if we want to come back. It's also worth noting that Enes Kanter is completely unplayable in the playoffs after being really solid in the regular season, and this is not the first time this has happened either. So it's really disappointing to see him just be an absolute turnstile on defense. And we're still going one-on-one with Jokic, Kanter in overtime and double overtime. It was crazy to see that. I don't know what we're doing. But the only reason he's even in the game is because Nurkic has fouled out again for 3 times out of 5 games, I think it is now. I understand Jokic is really, really fucking good. I completely get that. I get that he's really good at drawing fouls and the refs are really good at giving him fouls too. But so is Lillard, so I'm not going to complain about it. But I mean, flat out, you got to stay in the game. The most important ability a player can have in any sport is availability. And Nurkic has fouled out 3 of 5 games when he is by far and away the only player on the team, at least that's getting minutes, that can guard Nikola Jokic. Also, free Derrick Jones Jr. I think it's funny that Michael Porter can have the series that he's had, aside from the one game that we won last game when he didn't have a bunch of points. And Derrick Jones has still not checked into the fucking series, other than what, he played 3 minutes in game 1 or something like that, and he made a steal and got a dunk. So, you know, I don't know what else he's got to do. I don't know if he's just awful in practice. I don't know if Stotts is so fixed on his ways. I'm pretty sure that's what it is. But the fact that he hasn't gotten any minutes and we're still trying to guard Michael Porter with CJ fucking McCollum when that clearly doesn't work is crazy to me. But it's also not crazy because it's Terry. But let's talk about the 2 players that everybody's talking about because of the plays they had down the stretch that ended up resulting in us losing in the double overtime. Let's talk about Covington and McCollum. Covington actually had his best game of the series, ironically, but unfortunately had his worst plays of the series. He missed 2 dunks in overtime. One was a tip-in dunk that was really important that he could have just got it and put it back up. And then the other one was one cutting right down the lane. He just flat out missed it. Those are just, you cannot have those mistakes in the playoffs, especially against a team like the Denver Nuggets. Then if we want to talk about CJ, he was just not good. I mean, I don't even know how else to put it. All the problems that we've talked about with CJ McCollum in the past, he's a ball stopper. He's not a good passer. He's a lesser version of Damian Lillard. The biggest issue of all, he's not a good defender. He shot 7 for 22. Very late in the game, he had a play where Lillard passed the ball. McCollum kind of fumbled it. He took a step back, stepped out of bounds. That pretty much sealed the game. I think we were down 3 at that point, with like very little time left, and that pretty much sealed the game. Now, if we wanted a picture to summarize the entire game for us, it'd be this one right here. Blazers not named Damian Lillard in overtime and double overtime last night. Shot 1 for 14. Are you serious? If you want to say this is a roster construction problem, if you want to say it's a coaching problem, a player problem, players not showing up in the playoffs, sets not making sense, players not being where they're supposed to be, it's all of the above. But when it comes down to it, you got to show up for the best player in franchise history. He had 55 and 10, and we end up losing that game. It's got to be better, flat out.